welcome to episode 55. Episode 55 of Talking Small Press Comics with Steve Keeter, me, Larned Justin, and our special guests, Shane Luttrell and Mike Jones from YEET. Welcome aboard, guys.
Well,
Good to see you.
I do want to say something really quick here because it's Halloween, and I have 2 Halloween special YEETs right here.
Yeah.
This is the most recent one. This one, I believe, has is that a cover by no, that's not the one. This one. Shane, did you do this cover?
Yeah. That's year before last. This year before last. The other one's the most recent one, right?
This is the most recent one. Yeah. But this one has a Shane Luttrell cover.
Yeah,
and,
nice.
It looks really, really nice. But okay, go on, Larned. Whatever. I had to say that because it's Halloween, and that's not all. Shane also sent me a signed print here, so I'm I'm starstruck. Utterly starstruck here, and I know this particular scene appeared in an issue of YEET. Because I came across it tonight, and I was going through all these books, and we got a lot of issues. So you guys are super prolific. Mike, you're incredibly prolific, considering how busy you are. It's amazing the output.
How long have you been publishing YEET? When did you actually start YEET itself?
Well, it wasn't called YEET back in the day, but in 1994 is when I.
Whoa, 1994.
We had a long hiatus though.
Yeah.
So it's So
the actual YEET that we see now, roughly when did that start?
I came. Well, like the first 10 issues were done from 94, 95, 96. They were just done on typewriter paper or, the 11 by. They're a little bit bigger, so they're all.
The legal size.
And then I took a hiatus, and then my son got into drawing and was making his own comic book, and I said, I used to do that, and I could probably help you out. Well, back in the '90s, I did it as a school teacher for my students. I was an art teacher.
Oh, okay.
So we were publishing the book there. So then my son got involved, and then I bought a printer, and I was doing all the things. And if you ever did a flip book on your own to put the pages together correctly and staple them and all that stuff, it is a pain. I finally just took it to a printer and said, "Do it."
Let them do it.
And that started in issue 16, I think.
Okay.
Then it became regular. Well, and I wanted a Golden Age size, so I actually had a bigger. People kind of complain, they won't fit in the bags. I said, they'll fit in a Golden Age bag. But I would just send the files and tell them what I wanted, and then they would figure it all out, and I'd go get it, and it'd be all done and everything like that. It's more money.
When did you come aboard, Shane?
I was much later. I didn't even discover YEET until 2020.
Okay.
And through a friend of mine named Mike Pistasio, he was an artist friend of mine who recommended that I check it out. So that was issue about 36, I think. Yeah.
And have you been doing it ever since, or have you had a break in between, or?
Pretty much ever since.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And almost exclusively for YEET. I've done a couple other things for different folks, but mostly for YEET.
Yeah, I get a lot of credit, but there were so many people involved in the beginning. It really took off when Jason Mink from Old Guys Who Like Old Comics, he and I got together, and I became the official comic book of that, and then it really took off. And then Jason Kruger, who lives in Italy, was like, "You need to do a Patreon," because I was doing it all myself and giving them away. And so I don't think people are going to actually pay for these, but so I started a Patreon, and then people started paying for it. But I had Eli Jansen lived in Africa, I think. Greta Fantini was in Italy. I just had so many people that would help out, and then it seems like then they would figure it out on their own, and they'd go somewhere else, and then someone else would come along, and then Bob Kroll's always been there, and then Shane came along, and Scott Mullen also helped out a lot, but then Shane came along. He's like the latest, but no, he'll become famous, and then he'll leave YEET, and I'll be by myself. But there's no way I can do this by my, everyone says, oh my God, you have 58 issues, but the amount of work that I have in those is very small. I take other people's work and I put it together, and I started as a school teacher, and I wanted my students to be printed because it's so exciting to see your stuff in print. And I don't care if
I know you did this cover.
yeah, it's right there.
Hey, look behind him. Yeah, I was going to say. Look on
That's
the
the
wall.
original art for
Oh,
it.
it's back there. Okay.
It doesn't matter if you're in junior high school or if you're a 65-year-old man and you see your work in print for the first time. It's extremely exciting, and that's
It
the kind of
is.
work, you know.
I agree.
Well,
I agree. Yeah.
So I need all the help I can get, and I've got some really great help.
Well, that's great.
You know how I first heard about YEET? Well, I first heard about Steve Shipley. Steve Shipley first introduced me to YEET. He was talking about, he was a member of the UFO, the United Fanzine Organization, and I was the chairman, and he was telling me about YEET, and he's become, I can see he's contributed a lot of stuff. I even, I have a cover right here. I prepped for this video, folks. But here's a cover by Steve, and and he's an old pal of mine. I've known Steve Shipley for 50 years, literally. Yeah. And
have you read his
space share
stuff, Steve?
Oh, absolutely.
You read
yes, yeah, I do have those.
Space share. Oh, yeah.
That one has a UFO symbol on the front.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah.
So that one's a UFO zine. So he was doing work for the UFO, and then he went off, and then he's doing work for YEET. But he told me about it, and he told me that this is a good thing. YEET presents and everything you guys were doing. So, I was intrigued, and eventually I got dragged into it too, because how can you resist? You guys are publishing great stuff. So
Steve's been a huge help, and he's working on another project for us too that we really appreciate.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I can show you. I'll just show you really quick, because this interview is for you guys. It's not for me, but this is a reprint that I did, a POD reprint of a comic book that I published 50 years ago. I'm number one, and here we have some Steve Shipley artwork right here from 1973.
Oh my gosh.
I can tell you right now that, and when I inked this too, and it was really terrible because
nice.
It was on Ditto Masters. It wasn't. It was. We had to deal with what we had in those days.
Let's see, I love that stuff. I've printed that stuff in YEET where guys did it 50 years, maybe not 50 years ago, but 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it's not good enough. I said, I love it. I mean, I've seen some really off-the-wall stuff.
It's cool to see the old stuff.
That was what we had. We didn't have what we have now. We didn't have internet. We didn't have any of that stuff. Did you do Ditto zines in those days?
Ditto, no. I would take it to Kinko's, and they would make the copies before I bought a printer.
And that's funny, because even now, I'm still going to Kinko's with the UFO newsletter. I do some of it at home on my printer, and I go to Kinko's just because it's easy, it's convenient, and it's nearby. That one is POD though. I have to thank Dan Burke for helping me publish that. Yeah, and I see that because I was looking through. Okay, I was watching the video about the origins of YEET, and you mentioned Chaos #1. Did you do stuff before Chaos #1, or was that kind of where it started?
I was living in Penn State, and I went down. I go to the comic book store because I'm a collector first, and I would look at the local stuff that came out. And this guy took regular typewriter paper like this, right. And drew on it in pencil. Didn't even ink it. Made copies of it, and stapled it together on the outside. And his artwork looked pretty good. His lettering was horrible. I mean, he needed ink, and I finally got a hold of him, and I took his original artwork, which was literally done on typewriter paper, but thinner. And I'm like, ooh,
wow.
I don't know if I can ink this, but I inked it, and I printed it and put it in book form, and that's where it became, and I just called it Chaos. That's what he had. And then the next one was Ultra Force, and then he did Chaos and Ultra Force, and then another guy, Joe Wakefield, got involved in it, and just kind of other people started getting involved in it. But his original typewriter paper he had at the store that was stapled, had 60 cents on it, and underneath it said cost of paper.
Oh, so there's the
cost of
name.
paper. So
There's the
therefore,
name.
I got the name Cost of Paper Comics.
And the rest is history.
Shane, I was going to ask you, Shane, how did you
Yeah.
get involved in small press? When did you discover people were doing their own comics and all that?
I'm such a late bloomer. I mean, I've drawn and
Me
written all
too.
my life.
Yeah, me too.
But, I mean, 2020 with YEET was the first time I actually saw that you could actually have stories printed. You know,
I was a
always
little
assumed
bit before that, but I was
Yeah,
a late
yeah.
bloomer too.
I'm a really late bloomer. So, you
Yeah.
know, 2 years ago, I wrote and drew basically my first story for publication.
Oh, wow.
through YEET.
Okay.
So, it was the first Susie Seam story.
Yeah.
I've done
And those
mostly-
are really cool. Very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, we have the ash can, the Susie Steam ash can. You sent that
Yeah.
along, and that's interesting because it's in full color and has 2 stories.
Right.
And,
Just printed at home, like, you know,
Printed
Mike
it
was
all.
saying. Yeah.
Really?
On
You
copy
printed
paper,
that?
folded
No
in half.
kidding. It looks
Man,
great.
Couldn't tell.
It looks
Wow.
really nice.
And what he
that's
was
an
saying
ash
about,
can
you know,
addiction.
putting stuff together at home. I mean, you guys know with tetragram, you know what I'm talking about. With
It's
that,
hard to
I mean,
pronounce.
Newsletter.
Tetragrammaton fragments.
It's a lot of work, especially that is
Yeah.
like, you know,
How did you color
Pages.
that? How do you when you first
Oh.
started it?
digitally.
Digitally. Okay.
Yeah, it's just easier,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
to correct any mistakes I make.
Yeah.
I like to color traditionally also, but, you know, when I...
What do you
I
use?
study.
What program?
I have an old Photoshop program that
Oh,
before
okay.
the subscription days.
Yeah.
So It
Okay.
doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but I'm okay
It
with
works.
it. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Did you draw this story here? There's a story in YEET number 48. I don't think you did the cover. I'm not sure who did the
Yeah,
cover.
I guess who that is.
Who is that?
It's your friend Steve.
Is it
My
him?
friend Steve. Yes, that's Shipley.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, it does say Shipley right down here in the bottom
Yeah.
corner.
That's a watercolor painting that he did.
I'd
And,
like to find out
Oh.
who did it.
Yeah, right
He
down
actually-
here. It doesn't.
he sent
I
me
had
the
no idea.
original watercolor painting of that, and I have it hanging.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you did the interior artwork, right? This is you.
Yeah.
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 So you're an artist and a writer, and because I see a lot of the Susie Steam stories, and you don't always do the artwork; you do the writing.
Well,
And
you know, I can write a lot faster than I can draw.
Oh yeah, right.
I know
Yeah.
how that is.
So.
I can't spell, but I can write.
This
I'll
new
do a
one
drawing, but it's so work intensive.
is YEET number 58. This is the newest one, and it's E. Larry Tobias. And
Right.
what amazing artwork!
Very,
Look at
very
that.
nice. Very nice.
He was with Bill Loeb's in, I might have even been before First Comics, back in the 70s. He and Bill worked in a comic book company way back when, and he just
Larry?
found us on Facebook and we
Wow.
became friends. And then he started contributing, like a lot of professionals have. I mean, we've had a lot of professionals in our book.
Wow.
I found this in the back, and I was curious.
Oh yeah.
Who did that? Who drew that?
That's Eddie Morgan.
Eddie Morgan. He's from Ireland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did a story in there too. His artwork is really gritty.
Yeah.
It's real sketchy, but I really like
It's
it.
amazing.
This is
He
really cool.
I
Really
think
cool.
he's a good writer to hook up with a good writer and
Mm-hmm.
do that. I want to say that Eddie might be the Elvis impersonator.
He is. Yeah, he sure is.
Anybody needs an Elvis. I think Eddie is an Elvis impersonator. If I keep hitting him up because my mom always wants to go to Ireland, and I need a guide. So
Yeah.
if Eddie's willing, if I come to Ireland, I'd like to hook up with him and watch one of his shows.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, well, I've missed, I understand you were writing the Black Fury. Shane mentioned it to me, and that you were writing the Black Fury a while back, and I guess I missed those earlier stories.
We first appeared, oh my God, when? Number 18. 18 was our first newsprint. I found a company in Michigan that did newsprint. The only problem is I had to do 1,000 print run, and at the time we were only doing like 200. But I wanted a newsprint one, and they did it, and I think it's the first time Tom Orzechowski did the lettering, and it's the one that Jason Mink from Old Guys Who Like Old Comics did the she wanted me a Mylar. You guys don't have 18?
I don't think.
I don't
think the
know.
earliest one I have is number 33.
Oh
So
my
I don't
God.
have the earlier issues.
I got to get to the back issues because I had so many copies. I put on Facebook, if you can read Jason's story without literally laughing out loud, right? I will give you this comic book for free. But if you laugh out loud, you have to send me $5.
Oh, all right. We'll take
There
that
you go.
challenge.
$5 in the mail every time. You can't read that
Yeah.
without losing it.
This
Okay.
is the cover.
Ooh, neat.
I would definitely take that challenge.
Yeah, we'll take that challenge
Yeah.
for sure.
And
Okay,
the Black
very
Fury.
Wow.
Mike, is that
That's
your
the
work,
Black
Mike?
Fury.
Mike?
My first cover?
Is that your cover?
Yeah, I did the
Do
cover.
that.
Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
that's your artwork. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I got so much stuff here that I printed out. Here's
Very
a cover
cool.
I think you did. This ended up on a baseball cap. This is your art, right, Mike?
Yeah, what I basically do is I take Golden Age covers and put my character in the same pose. basically.
Oh, neat.
So
Yeah,
I'm pretty
good
much
idea.
copying a cover, you know, because I did another one that was it was a Captain America cover with a helicopter on it. I'm a helicopter pilot. I think it's the very first time a helicopter was on a cover. I think it's Captain America 55 or 53. Those are both helicopter
wow.
covers.
Wow.
Hopefully I can't
No
afford them.
kidding.
Right? They go for like $3,000 or something like that. So
Oh
I
my
wanted
gosh.
to have that cover with the helicopter on it, and I put it was the Black Fury on that one too.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Well, it looks like a neat character. I got to see some of that.
I found out about public domain through Facebook probably, and you can go on comicbookplus.com. And I was just looking at all this stuff out there, and I came across the Black Fury, and I'm like, that is such a cool character. How is that not, you know?
Well, that's funny, Mike, because I did the same thing with a character that Basil Wolverton drew, Space Hawk. Are you familiar with Space Hawk?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even.
If you know who Basil Wolverton
Yes,
was,
I do know who he is.
Mad Magazine and that.
Right.
And his style, I just
Yeah.
fell in love with. But it was
Yeah.
done in 1940.
Uh-huh.
And
Wow.
I'm doing a satire of that right now.
Oh, sweet.
Just started.
Is that for YEET? That's for us, right?
I don't know who it's for. I got 2 pages done. I want to do 32, so
I
you
think
can
he's
see how
sending you-
far along I'm going.
I think he's sending you an invitation, Lauren.
Yeah. Okay.
You might want to jump in there.
I've always said that everyone asks me what's the hardest thing about making a comic book, and the answer is finishing the damn thing.
Right.
It's easy to start a story.
Absolutely.
in a comic book.
Oh,
Finish
yeah.
it,
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm so out of practice, you know. I've been an artist. I'm a writer. I'm a publisher. I'm an editor. I've been doing the United Fanzine organization thing for so long that it's kind of like you, Mike. Yeah, every 2 months I have to publish something, and it's a lot of responsibility. And after a while, you can say, well, when do I have time to do my own thing? You know, I want to do my own comics and stuff like that. And so I'm kind of taking a break right now so I can publish a couple of things.
It's tough. I got a cabinet right over here full of projects that I've started.
Ideas and stories. I have ideas for
I
scripts.
know, I've
I
done
have
that too.
scripts partially done, and there's things
Yeah.
I want to publish, and by the end of the year, I hope to get some of this stuff out.
Yeah, hope so.
So,
Either one of you, or both of you guys, was there anybody that influenced you? I mean, I know I was influenced, I've said it many times, by Mad Magazine, all the artists of Mad. But Shane, was there anybody that you kind of looked...
Well, I grew up on Marvel Comics
Uh-huh.
in the 1970s.
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man was my biggest
Okay.
my hero that I liked. So I was, when I picked them up off the spinner rack, I don't know why I liked the Marvel Tales better than the Amazing Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
Marvel Tales was by Stan Lee and John Romita at that time. It was the reprints, obviously. And then
right.
Spider-Man was by like Len Wein and I think Ross Andrew. And I liked those, but it was the Stan Lee stuff. And every time I didn't know Stan wasn't writing comics anymore, because I was picking up reprints of Captain America with Stan Lee's name on it. And I knew if Stan Lee's name on it, it was going to be really good.
Yeah.
I was 11, 12, at that time.
Yeah.
But so
And I grew up
big
with those
big
comics,
influence.
you know. I was born in
Yeah.
1956, so I grew up with those
Yeah,
comics. You know, I
10 years
started out
older than that.
4 years old. My parents were reading me Superman and Superboy. Somehow I discovered Marvel Comics, the Fantastic Four, the stuff written by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So I had those same influences, but you got them from the reprints.
Yes, sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went a
In the
different.
80s,
I went
So
a
that
different way. I did
continues.
did not ever have any interest in superheroes.
Yep.
Never did. Closest thing to that was I loved the Black Hawk comics. I don't know if you remember Black Hawk or not, but
Yeah.
that was one of my
Black Hawk.
favorites.
Yeah, Mike would know.
Other than that, no, it was more. I pretty much once I discovered Mad Magazine, that was pretty much it for me.
Did you like the war and western and horror comics, Martin?
No,
I did.
Oh, really?
By
no,
golly,
Yeah, those are great.
yeah.
especially the Warren comics. I remember we talked about Wally Wood. Oh, there's a video
Oh, yeah.
that we don't have up yet. It's the episode before this one. Well, actually, it is up because you just posted it today, right? And I talked
Yeah,
about
it's up
Wally
now.
Wood and seeing Wally Wood in person at a convention in the early 1970s. And he worked for Warren, and he said that Warren was great in the 60s. It was great. And somewhere along the line, they blew it. They lost whatever magic they had. But you know, like Steve Ditko used to contribute to the Warren magazines.
Wally Wood was just one of my
Wally Wood,
ultimate
of course.
favorites. Yeah.
And a lot of other great artists and writers and stuff. But you know,
Yeah.
in their heyday, they were great. In their heyday, they could match the EC comics of the 1950s. They were just as good, and featured many of the same creators. So
Yeah, they did.
Do you guys have any plans that are a little different for YEET in the future, or anything like that? Just going to keep going?
I kind of got away from the double cover, and I did that because you know I have multiple stories and people would submit them and have a cover. I didn't want to leave it out.
Yeah.
I want to put it on the inside, so I did the flip book thing. But
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
don't drop it. The flipbook thing is right here.
It
Yeah.
kind of comes and goes. You know, I get excited about it, and then I kind of put it on the back burner, and then someone will send me something really cool. You know, like Jane would send me something, and I'm like, okay, I got to put another one out. And, you know, at some point it's probably going to end, or you know, I could maybe sell it to Elon Musk or something for a couple.
He's probably looking for a YEET. Yeah.
If Elon Musk was to take over YEET, that would change the world as we know it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
but if I could find the time and the motivation to pump out more of my stuff, you know, that I might get more excited about it. But it's just kind of, I'm not going to quit. I'm saying, but it's just kind of, it's probably just going to keep going until I run out of material.
There you go.
And right now, issue 59 has. We might have 25 pages right now, so I need more stuff. I don't want to send somebody just a small comic. I want them to get a bunch of stuff in there. You know, we've gone as many as 64 pages, those Halloween issues, which unfortunately no Halloween issue this year. You got to start that early, and people have to remind you. That's basically how it is. But yeah, 64 pages is a big book. I mean, and that'll keep you busy until the next one comes along.
Yeah.
well, Larned was talking about influences, and Mike, what were your influences? I know you're a writer, you're a publisher, you're an artist.
I guess I got started. I remember looking at a comic book when I was like in junior high, and it did nothing for me whatsoever. The artwork was muddy. It was very dark. I want to say it was like a 1970-something X-Men, if I had to guess what it was. And I think some of the kids had it, and I'm like, that's just not for me. And somehow I found an issue of Jimmy Olsen and Scooby-Doo, and there's one other. There's 3 comics in our basement. I don't know where they came from. Jimmy Olsen was the one where he was a hippie. It was Hippie Olsen at the heyday.
Oh, I know that one.
Throwing stuff at Superman, you know.
Is this Kirby? Is this Kirby?
No,
also?
it wasn't Kirby. You know?
Wasn't Kirby?
I don't know if it was Kurt Swan or I can't remember who it was. But I got 2 copies of it now. So when I saw one at a comic book store, I just had to have it. But I can remember sitting down and, as a kid and reading it. It was a full story. It was very simple. It was very colorful. It was funny, and it was like not this dark thing. So, of course, I went right over town to the spinner rack and started buying comics. And after that, it was all over. I have a pretty much an addictive personality. If I start doing something, I'm going full bore on it. But the person who probably influenced me the most was probably Salvi Seven. Because I think because he was the little brother, everyone, John was better than him and all that kind of stuff. But man, that guy pumped out some stories. It was hard to pick up a Marvel comic back in the 70s that wasn't done by Salvi Seven. He did the Hulk. He did Captain
Buscema. That's interesting.
Ron.
Instead of John Buscema,
Yes,
Sal Buscema, the brother.
So I would sit there with his comic books, and I would try to draw like Sal Buscema. And I can remember going to my art teacher and saying, "Why do my drawings not look like this guy's drawings?" and he sat me down and he showed me how to do the circles and all this kind of stuff. And that's probably when I got pretty good at art. I would say Sal Buscema. I have never met the guy. I really wish I would have. I have some of his original art that I love to death. But yeah, I got a commission with him for 3 years now, waiting to see if they would get, I'm like 24 on the list or something, and he's 82 or 83 now, so best of luck to Sal, but I would really like to meet him. I watch him on YouTube all the time. The guy's hilarious.
He's still around. There's a lot of questions here, but just mixed in with all this stuff. How did you attract such an incredible, diverse group of creators, both pros? You got Don Simpson right there. You got Tom Orzechowski. You got William Messner-Loebs. You got a lot. You're getting a lot of respect from a lot of really talented people, and you got Shane Luttrell, and you got Steve Shipley. You got all these other guys. We got Here's William Bill Messner-Loebs right here.
He's got a 130-page autobiography that a lot of people are working on.
Oh, really?
Wow.
So that's an working. So it all started with Bill. William Messner-Loebs. If you know anything about comic books, and especially the 80s and 90s, he was ginormous. He did it with Journey. He was really good friends with Dave Sim, and they published together. And it was funny how I met him. He lived in my town.
Is that right?
And my wife says, "Hey, I'm taking Ben to this art class. It claims he's a comic book artist." Like, yeah, what comic book artist lives in Howell, Michigan? His name is William Messner-Loebs, and I say, "There's no way that guy is the same guy." I mean, he did the Max, he did Wonder Woman, he did Flash, Doctor Who, just Journey, on and on and on. And so I took my kid to this thing. My kid was about 6 years old. This is probably almost 15 years ago. And there's Bill. First thing I noticed, the guy's only got one arm.
Yeah.
Right? And so people ask him, "Have you always been left-handed?" Yeah.
That's fortunate.
So he sat there and was trying to teach these kids how to draw comic books. And those kids, they were dropped off by their parents, so they didn't have to deal with them. Free babysitter, basically. So they were carrying on. Well, Bill and I struck up a conversation, and I sat there and picked his brain, for an hour. And then so I got to become friends with him. Then I started taking him to conventions and really started helping him out and stuff like that. So taking Bill to a convention, I get a table next to Bill Loebs for YEET, right? Nobody's there to see YEET. They're there to see Bill Loebs, but Bill knows everybody. Right? I met Don Simpson, I met Arvell Jones, and all these people started contributing to our book,
Don Simpson right here.
Don Simpson. And it's not like I just met them and talked to them. I went out to dinner with them. I drank beer with them. I've been to their house. I went to Dave Sim's house in Canada. He calls it the other White House, and took me around it. You think there's artwork on the wall here. I'm just like in awe, right? This guy, right? So
Dave Sim.
I got to meet all these guys, right? Through Bill. I mean, I got to meet Jim Steranko and have dinner with Jim Steranko.
No kidding, Steranko.
So that's how I get a lot of these people in there. It's like, hey, I'd like to help you out. Now, some of them I got to pay for. I don't want people to do stuff for free unless they really want to do it. I got Mike Reuter to do a cover. Mike Gustovich did a cover. You know, so all these people have been in our book. You know, Mike Barron reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got a story that never got published. Would you publish it in there?" You know, Al Milgram's done work in there. Bob Wycheck, Arvell Jones. Arvell Jones did a whole story of the Black Series.
Amazing.
That was here's a bit of history. That was written. No, wait, did I write it? Yeah, I think I wrote it. Arvell drew it and inked it. Tom Warzakowski, it was the last hand lettering job that he did. So never doing it again. It killed me because he'd been doing digital for so many years, you know. But
Yeah.
and Arvell has all the artwork, but one page. He gave me one page. But it was really cool to see that.
What shows do you usually do?
I think that's something over
And
there.
Shane, do you do shows at all?
Well, I've only recently started doing shows. I did 2 in the last year, and
What'd you
it was
do?
the first- I did the Memphis Comic Expo,
Okay.
which was
Memphis?
the big one.
I used to live there,
Did you? That's
but
That's
many,
next door. I
many
lived-
years ago.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I met Keith Pollard there, and he was telling me a story about Arvell Jones. But anyway, and the other show I did was the Memphis Libraries Con, which is a brand new con that was in May. So I hope to do more next year. I've already got one
Yeah.
lined up actually.
How about you, Mike? What do you usually do?
Bill and I normally do just ones in Michigan. I mean, we do the big ones
Uh-huh.
on the Cobo Arena. I mean, real big ones. The big ones are more for, you know, the actors and actresses.
Oh yeah.
It's not really a comic book one. The one that Bill has always gone to is the Great Lakes Comic Con put on by Mike DeSantis, and he really took care of his guests.
Oh.
You have dinner. That's where you sit down with, and he's got some actors in there. You know, the one time I had dinner with Ewoks, with the actors that played Ewoks in Star Wars, and you know, I've sat down with a lot of interesting people.
Now you talk about Dave Sim. I always used to go to Space in Columbus, Ohio, and Dave Sim was the main guest. He would always be the guest.
Oh,
He
love
would
his
buy
work.
he would buy every exhibitor dinner.
Oh wow.
Order what you want.
Dave Sim. Dave
Yeah.
Sim right here. This is one of my characters. This is the Raven, and Dave.
Dave drew that?
Yeah, he sent it to me a few years
No
ago.
kidding.
I don't even
That's
remember.
amazing.
I don't know. Somehow we got in touch online, and I
Uh-huh.
was just talking to him, and he says, "You want to receive a character sketch of one of your characters?" And Dave Sim. I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You talk
understand
about
that.
influences. He's one of my big influences.
I
love his work.
I don't know a lot about Dave Sim, but I kind of researched him a little bit, and there's some really negative stuff about him. And
Yeah, we've heard all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when
Cerebus is great.
I mean, when I met the guy, he couldn't have been nicer.
I know. I met him too.
He gave me
At
2 long
Space.
boxes of comic books for Bill. I mean, just like, and he did a drawing for Bill that he auctioned off. Of course, I'm there like, hey, you got any Cerebus original art I could buy off you? He says, I'm down to my last 4,500 pages, so I'm not going to sell it for
Oh my
4,500
gosh.
pages. He
You
still
know,
has to-
he had a guy that did his backgrounds for him.
yeah.
Gerard.
What was
So
his name?
he still
Gerhard?
has
Yeah. That's
the original for Cerebus #1, the cover.
Oh wow!
He still has the original art for that. I'm like, what could that be worth? I mean,
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's got to be easily
My
6
gosh.
figures. 6 figures easy, you know.
I'm looking at
I want
this
to
cover.
ask Mike a
Cover.
question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to show off the cover by Shane really quick. Great cover. I like this one.
Thank you.
Sarge of the dog.
I think
Yeah,
Shane
thank you.
might be catching up to me on covers of YEET. I don't know how many you got.
he
I
seems to
better
do a
get
lot
these.
of them.
Go ahead, Shane. Ask him a question.
They're fun to do. Yeah, Mike, I was going to ask you a question about Bill. So there's a story in YEET by Bill. It's a journey story, and it's in color. And as far as I know, it's the only color journey story that there is.
That is correct.
Did he do that for YEET, or how did that come about?
No, he did that for, it was printed somewhere else in the back of some comic book that no one probably ever saw.
Okay.
And so I found it somewhere and said, what is this? And he, explained it to me. I said, can I print it? And he's like, of course.
Wow.
So,
Well, I collected Journey back in the day. Got it off the at the comic shop as it was coming out, and I had a complete collection. So to see that new story, which I'd never seen before, It
Did
was-
you get the two? Did you get the 2 issues of War Drums? That was a continuing of Journal.
Yeah, I did.
And then
We're waiting for the conclusion of that one.
I have a stack of original art of War Drums #3, which is never.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've got a bunch of Bliss Alley #3 that was never published. And I did publish it in YEET. It's not done though. It's not done.
Yes,
I got a lot of Bill's artwork through various things, and I need to probably sell it to get him the money. But it's just I have a hard time selling anything.
Parting with it, yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing that. So.
I can
We
understand
wanted to
that.
ask you. We wanted to ask you about. I know that Bill has been through some hard times. I know that in the early 2000s that Neil Adams and some other people worked together to help him out, and then later on, I think you were instrumental along with some other people. And how's Bill doing now? Is he doing okay?
I think they're in a better place. Obviously, they're getting up there in age, and Bill his health is not what it used to be. So, I mean, you got to look at it where Bill was very successful when he was, and when they just stopped hiring the old guys anymore, and they didn't give him work, he was out of work, and so the money dries up quick. And having one arm, and now you're 60-some years old, you know, and trying to change your profession is tough.
A little tough.
He really struggled, and unfortunately, Bill's stuff isn't the top dollar stuff. You know, he's not going to sell his original art like Dave Simmons or Steranko or somebody like that. He's got a bunch of original art, but you know, it might get $500 a page, if even that. And he sold a lot of it, and he got not what he wanted for it, and he was really disappointed about that. So he's got help through the Hero Initiative. He's got help through some people in the GoFundMe. He lives right down the street from me, so when I'm there, my wife is there now, probably right now with them, helping them out. And other people are also helping him, but he really, it was tough on Bill because he really wanted to work. He didn't want a handout. He wanted to go back to work.
Yeah.
He wanted to write stories. His mind is constantly going. I have notebooks of his that is just full of ideas,
Wow.
and drawings and stories and stuff. His mind's constantly going, and it's not going out to the people who would really enjoy it, I think.
Yeah.
It's a shame
You know,
because he's one of the best writers in comics.
I would have no idea how to sell original artwork. I have original artwork. I wouldn't have any connection to how you even go about that.
Well, if it's big dollar stuff, you put it on Heritage. You know, if you want to try it on your own, you pretty much do it on eBay.
eBay? Oh, just eBay kind of thing.
I found you know, Comic Connect is another one. I found Sal Buscema art on there of the Eternals that he did in the 90s, I think. That was unbelievable. I didn't pay more than $100 a page for it. But go on eBay and look at Sal Buscema Hulk art right now.
Wow.
It's $3,000 a page.
Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable. That's
Well,
Yeah, it is.
A Ditko page just sold on Heritage from Spider-Man 30. I think it was his last Spider-Man. What was that, 36?
Wow.
A single page sold for $100,000.
holy cow.
I think I better get on eBay.
How did Ditko ever imagine that? I wonder if he ever...
Well, what do you got? I don't have $100,000, but I'm always looking. Any Sal Buscema or Jack Kirby? I have 2 original Jack Kirbys.
Wow.
My first Sal Buscema was a Hulk splash page that I paid $8 for.
Wow.
From a deal
Amazing.
back in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't the page I wanted, so he sent it anyways because it was the $12 page. He said, "I'll just give you this instead because the other one you wanted sold."
And back then in the 70s, $8 was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
More than it is now.
When you're-
$100,000.
When you're a kid, you know. Yeah.
That was a lot of comic books I had to give up to get the $8 page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kicking myself in the butt for not getting a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I didn't realize all that was going on until much later.
Yeah,
I really
paid
had
40
no clue.
I paid $40 for my Jack Kirby page. It's Captain America, but he's not in uniform. It's just Steve
Yes,
Rogers
Kirby.
fighting. Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers.
I paid like $40 for it. The other one's a half splash page of a Thor. You know how they did the ads at the bottom, and it's like the half splash.
Oh, yeah.
But if Thor's not in it, it's the Asgardians, like Baldar and all those guys are in it. So it's pretty cool. You know, it's Jack Kirby. And unfortunately, it's Vince Colletta did the inks, but you know.
Yeah, well,
That's okay.
Vince Colletta. Vince Colletta was okay on Thor, but he wasn't okay. Well, you know, he eliminated a lot of the detail. And, you know,
they don't need that stuff anyways, Jack. I don't know why.
He wasn't Joe Sennett. Joe Sennett was terrific on Kirby and Fantastic Four. You know.
My favorite inker after Sennett on Kirby was Mike Royer.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And Mike is a great guy. I've drank beer with Mike, and
I know.
he is a fun guy. A lot of fun.
Well, Shane, did you draw this?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great. That is awesome.
Thanks.
That's
Very nice.
That's Susie Steam, and it's a double spread.
I think
I
you got
was
the
just
color
looking at that.
print of that, Lauren.
How did you come up with Susie Steam? I mean,
Yeah, that's a good question.
Was this character was around before YEET? Was it?
No.
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 Just created it for YEET?
Well, I wanted to do a story, so I had to come up with something, right?
Yeah.
So,
Steam.
yeah, the first thing I did was ask Mike. I said, I don't know if I could do a story, so maybe just a pin-up. So I started thinking, let me just draw something. So I started drawing, and she came out,
It's
just
great
a girl. I didn't have a name. I didn't, you know, she had the dog. I knew her belly button would be showing, and she had a dog, and that was it.
That's how you sell comics, right?
What else do you need? Yeah.
And then I said, hey, this is good. So, you know, from there I just said, you know, I maybe turn this into a story. So I came up with all the other stuff that goes with it. But that was specific for YEET.
Well, right now I think it's in the alternative comics community, this is probably my favorite character right now. You know, you just keep doing great stuff. You and the other artists that you're working with, you keep coming up with great stories. Here's another. I mean, right here.
Yeah, that's the black and white version of the cover. Yeah.
It's Clayton Merwin. He's amazing.
Very good. Very good.
That's a beautiful.
Didn't Tom Wozakowski do your logo there?
He sure did. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I did see that. Yeah, Wozakowski did that. And,
Boy, that was a thrill when I saw that.
Yeah.
Tom.
Wow. What else?
That was another thing, meeting Tom, because I remember seeing his name, you know, nobody pays attention to the letter, but I did. And when I saw Tom's name on there, you just knew that the lettering was going to be the flow was going to be
top
good.
notch.
Because a lot of times you're like, okay, where am I going here on this page? But not with Tom. And some of the stories that guy had, oh my God. He didn't get paid enough. He got paid by the page, not by the
I watched part of an interview with Tom Wozakowski today, just afternoon, because I was kind of researching you guys, and I was researching the guys working for YEET. And, you know, not much to say, but it was interesting, and he truly is a guy who truly loves doing comics, and he's truly flabbergasted that he got to work with many of the greats in the comic industry. And
his first lettering, they gave him pages. Now back in the day, they gave you the pencils, right? And it was Gene Colan. Issue of maybe not Dracula, but something like that. And here's something, you know, here's a guy that was an artist in the golden age, and he's one of Tom's heroes, and now he's got his pencils, and he's got to put ink over his pencils.
Oh, that's scary.
Please, God, don't let me mess this up.
Really?
But he said that he used to do it on Bristol board. He used to
they
draw it on Bristol board, and now he does it, you know, digitally.
Well, here's another fact. When I went to see him, I went to his house. Been there a bunch of times. I'm helping him with his personal collection. I'm bagging and boarding it. Believe it or not, he did bag and board his personal collection. But he's got a little tiny studio and a little tiny table, and he's in there. The ink bottle is taped to the desk, and he's got a dip-in pen that he's had forever. Right? And he's doing it, but he's also got another Bristol board piece of paper, 11 by 17 over here, and he's got all the lines on it. They use an Ames guide for this, and he's practicing it before he goes on to here.
Oh, okay.
So you know, he's got probably about 30 lines of lettering, and some of them are like, it says Black Fury, and it's in bold, and it says Arvell Jones, because he had to do the credits, and has my name on there, and his name on there, and all the stuff that's pertaining to the story is on there. And I said, what do you do with that when you're done with it? Well, I throw it away. I said, can I have it? He said, why did you want it? I said, could you imagine having the X-Men pages like that? With Claremont, John Byrne, I mean, he's writing all their names, Wolverine, you know, he's writing all the stuff on there. It's like, oh my God, you don't realize how much money he probably got rid of.
Oh my goodness.
But in the day, they would send him a big packet, the story, right, and it'd be the original art in pencil only, right, and he'd have to figure out where all the lettering goes and do it. The other thing that I really found, because when I do lettering, I do it in pencil first and then go over it with an ink pen. He doesn't do that. He puts the lines on there and then just does it.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my, what happens if you don't come to an end? He says, I've done this enough. I don't run out of space. I know my spacing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
That is the hardest thing to learn.
Yeah,
if you're lettering, to not run out of space where they all jam together.
Right. I shot a video of him doing it too. I think I put it on YEET. So that I shot a video of him doing it. He gets right down in there and he just does it by hand.
Amazing.
Hours and hours and hours.
I wanted to tell the viewers, before I forget, YEET has a YouTube page with all kinds of videos. You can learn all kinds of things about YEET on their YouTube page. I think it's called YEET Presents, or
it is. We haven't updated it in a while, but it's there.
It's got a lot of videos on there.
A lot of videos of Bill Loeb's.
Yeah,
we do the Bill Loeb show, or Bill and I would like once or twice a week would get together.
I watched a couple of those videos today with you and Bill, and I can see your friendship. I can see that, you know, where you're sitting side by side and you're talking.
Yeah, but we probably have a lot of outtakes. The guy's hilarious. I love him to death. He's great.
Okay, and there's something else we wanted to ask you about, because we know you're a very busy guy, and I know you've been doing work for the Navy. Are you actively in the Navy, or what is it that you do that keeps you so busy all the time?
I told you, Steve, I'd have to car bomb you.
Have to kill you, man.
I can just give you a hint, though, and beat you up, if that's okay.
Okay. We'll go for that.
People ask what I do. I say it's easier if I just lied and told you I'm an astronaut, because it'd be more believable. I pick up torpedoes with a helicopter for the Navy out of the Atlantic Ocean in the Bahamas. That's what I do.
For real?
Mackerel. No, thank you.
I know I saw where you said that you were a helicopter pilot before. I didn't know exactly what you did, but that's amazing.
I don't want to pick up any torpedoes.
No, their practice rounds, what they have down here is a range for the people to bring their subs. Right now there's a sub here from Colombia, the country. So the other day we flew around and did a photo op of it. So there's 3 helicopters, Navy helicopters flying by it. We have a civilian helicopter. We have a very large helicopter that's the same one the President flies in, Marine One. Ours is a little bit longer. That's the only thing different. And so that's what we did on our last flight. And then this week I will go out and pick up the practice rounds that either submarine or the airplanes or the helicopters shoot out there.
How do you find them on the bottom of the ocean?
They're not. They float.
Oh, they float. Okay, gotcha.
So they have a pinger on them. So there's they're all tracked. So we take off. They give us a lat long to where we're going, heading in the direction, and then they call us in on it. And then we have an apparatus that will pick them up depending on what type of torpedo it is, and then we just bring them back so they can redo it and then reuse it. That's basically it.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Never heard of anything like that. That's interesting.
That's
fun.
Somebody has to do it, right?
Well, where I work, you can look it up. It's called AUTEC, A-U-T-E-C, Atlantic Underwater Training and Evaluation Center, and it's called the Area 51 of the Atlantic.
Oh,
wow!
So you might find something else there.
Supposedly there's aliens here. There's time portals. If you go to the, I don't know if it's the Discovery Channel, but if you YouTube AUTEC and aliens, you'll see.
Okay.
I've yet to see any aliens.
If you, if,
down at the
yeah,
bar every once in a while.
Not yet.
if you pick up any aliens, come back on the show.
I'll watch that one.
There are certainly aliens in the alternative press community, I'm sure. I might be one of them, you never know.
Yeah, who knows, you know?
Well, guys, what do you think? Have we done it, you think?
I think we've asked just about every question.
I can't think of any more questions. You're very good at answering them.
Yeah, well, it's been a real pleasure meeting you
thanks
guys
for
and
coming
talking
on.
with you.
It was nice
we
meeting
learned
you
a lot.
guys, and it's good to finally meet Shane. I don't
Yeah.
even get to talk to
Oh,
him.
wow, that's amazing.
No, we haven't.
It's all been
Oh,
through
boy.
emails or on Messenger or something like that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate all the help that you've done for us and keeping it up. And you know, I think because I was always going to pass the baton on to Scott Mullen, maybe, but he's doing Bronze Knuckles. That's a plug there for Scott, and Bill Lowe's will have a
Absolutely.
story in there.
Mhm.
It's called Bronze Knuckles. Go on,
Yeah.
go on
I've heard
Facebook.
of Byrnes Mill.
We've had that on the show.
And anytime, Shane, you want to take over the reins, just let me know.
Oh, yeah.
Leslie,
You're doing a great job, Mike.
Yeah. It's only
Shane is a
couple
busy
games.
guy, and Shane plays guitar. You can see guitars on the wall behind him.
And a banjo, too.
I want to know if we can play
Right.
the banjo.
Well, I got it a few months ago, and I can play a few chords on it, but that's it. Come back next year.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I think we better wrap it up. We usually try to keep things about an hour. We find the viewers kind of fade off after that. So I think we're right about at an hour, and man, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Adios.